episode 31 of Two Opinionated.
31!
The show where he yells too much.
31. 31!
I haven't had time to fix my hair today.
It looks good.
No, it doesn't. It keeps,
I think it looks good.
It keeps going down like Julius
Ladies.
Caesar. Look, tell me I don't look like Caesar.
Et tu, Brute?
But, I did have something to tell you. Oh, I went to work yesterday and I took my hat off and I go, ew, what's that?
Was it a trucker hat?
Yeah, it's just a hat.
Yeah.
But, baseball cap is what we call them.
Yeah, baseball cap.
But, it was covered in, like, white marks.
Why?
I guess, like, if you wear a hat too much, they get sweat stains.
Oh, yeah. If you sweat in them, they'll get covered. That means you're working hard.
Yeah.
That's good
so,
news.
I washed my hat. This is what I'm trying to say.
It survived.
Yeah.
Okay.
It survived.
All right, very good. So, what we got on tap for this week's episode, Brett?
Oh, so much.
Right?
Yeah. It was kind of a fun episode. We had,
We're going to have.
No, I was just telling straight up. We recorded already.
Well, so we recorded our interview for the week already, but now we're going back and putting in the beginning. So we're letting you see behind the camera how this stuff works.
We do that in case they say like the F word or something. So now you know.
Now you know.
However, I don't think he said anything bad.
No, he was. We had Kennedy Phillips. Yeah.
Kennedy Phillips, creator of a audio drama called Magus. Ooh, this is
Elgar.
Elgar. See, hey.
That's why we're good together.
Crap, though, it's Magus.
It is Magus. We've been saying, so as you watch this episode, you'll learn. We keep trying to say Magus, but it's Magus Elgar, and it is fantastic. I am absolutely underselling it when I say it's fantastic. It's really good.
I'm enjoying it a whole lot.
Yeah, so it's a audio fantasy drama, right?
I did say something though that I hope didn't go the wrong way.
What's that?
It was I feel like I'm way confused, and I feel like it should be simple. I feel like that's not.
That's probably not the way you wanted to say it, right?
Well, I just really feel like a lot of people are getting it, and I'm not.
Oh, like what you're trying to say was, it's not that the drama is confusing. It's that you're just confused.
I'm confused.
Like you feel like it should be something you could get easily, but you're not.
Yeah, well, it really kind of because this is so dumb, but I'm pretty sure I meant to ask you, but I didn't want to be embarrassed. I'm pretty sure the main characters are really small. And I'll tell you why, because they went into this guy's basement or something.
Right.
And then there was the footsteps, and it was like, oh, it's upstairs. I'm pretty sure that they're really small, but I'm too embarrassed.
We should have asked.
No, I'm too embarrassed.
So, in a few minutes, we'll get to Mr. Kennedy Phillips.
Because how dumb? How dumb would it be if that wasn't the case?
I don't know. I think it'd be hilarious. That's what we do. So we ask the hard questions.
Anyway, that's all I meant by simple. I feel like I think I'm the smartest dumb guy in the world. Is that
sure?
Yeah, I feel like I'm really.
You're not dumb at all.
That's why I'm the smartest dumb guy.
Oh, okay.
I think IQ-wise I do fine, I guess, but I do think I'm very dumb in parts. Well, I don't know.
You just have trouble connecting the dots sometimes.
What the? That makes you sound dyslexic. I'm not dyslexic.
That's not what I'm saying.
I don't know what it is, but something. But all right. Here's how I explained it to someone at work. I have a lot of moments.
That's good.
It's not good because they're dumb.
Let me tell you something, and hopefully she won't be offended, but you get that from your mother.
She does have a lot of.
She has a lot of those moments.
But I'll tell you
I think that's a good thing because you're constantly surprised. I mean, how awesome.
I'll tell you one that got me was my Four Horsemen realization.
Yeah.
Where war and conquest are totally the same one.
Totally the same one.
I was like, no way.
What?
I'm the first person ever to figure this out.
That's right.
I'm definitely not.
That's right.
But
are you going to ramble through the entire opening, or are you about done?
Is that rambling? I thought.
No, I'm just kidding.
I thought it was comedic.
That's what we do, right?
Yeah, I thought it was good.
We ramble on.
Yeah, so I actually do have a couple things to talk about.
Well, I was going to say in a few minutes we're going to have Kennedy Phillips on to talk about Magus Elgar.
Magus.
No, it's Magus. Magus Elgar, which is absolutely fantastic. I think that our listeners are really going to enjoy hearing about this world that he has created, and kind of the rules of how magic work in that world. It's just really good. So hopefully we do him a little bit of justice, because I think we could have done an episode that was 6 or 7 hours long, talking about that world, and probably enjoyed every minute of it.
I would like to have him back a lot, especially that for anything. We'll talk to him later.
Yeah, just a really neat guy. So we'll get into that. So we got a couple minutes. So
can I address some stuff?
Yeah, let's talk about what you...
For YouTube, just so you know, about, I guess, probably about an hour in, the camera goes out, just so you know. So
why did it go out, Brett?
Gosh, I hate you.
You forgot the plug!
I didn't forget. I didn't think it would die. It's a difference.
Oh, my goodness.
But my point is...
We had no backup. We had no backup.
For what you missed, just go on the audio version. For the audio people, I care about you more. I do.
It's weird that I'm the YouTube guy.
I just don't... if you hear of Don't Forget Your Beginnings...
Yes.
You're forgetting your beginnings.
I'm not. I love the audio people. I just like the YouTube more.
You like yourself more. Sit down. What did I call you? Oh, I know what I call you. A narcissistic asshole. Sit down. Go! Sit down!
Alright!
Anyway, so thank you today for tuning in for episode 31.
31! I do.
So
we did have a little technical hiccup near the end of Kennedy's interview. So if you're on the YouTube side, you'll see that hiccup. If you're on the audio side, you're not going to notice. Yeah,
because we are flawless.
Flawless!
So, I do have a little bit to say.
Alright, you got a couple minutes, go.
Nothing much. They cast Queen Latifah as Ursula.
That seems on the nose.
It does. Well,
a little bit on the nose there.
I'll tell you the crazy part, though, is I was actually going to talk about someone else wanting to be cast as Ursula. Then I saw on Facebook that someone got cast as... Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. Who were you going to cast?
Well, the guy who said he was like, yeah, I'll be Ursula, was Guy Ferrari.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is on the nose.
Isn't that funny?
That's hilarious.
But anyway, so I was looking just at Facebook, and then Anthony Anthem was like, hey, Queen Latifah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, I think I'd rather have Guy Ferrari.
Yeah, no, me too. I'm not actually a big Queen Latifah
That's
fan.
what he says, isn't it?
Bam.
Yeah.
No.
No?
That's not him, I don't think.
I think it is.
I'm pretty sure that's...
No, it's Emerald.
That's Futurama.
Oh, well, it could be. Oh, yeah. That could be the guy. Does he say boom?
I'm not a food guy.
Who says boom? Somebody.
You.
Boom!
Yeah, you say, oh my God.
Okay.
Which, by the way, is a terrible ending thing to say.
Why?
That's the climax. You're ending on the climax.
That's what you do.
Alright.
That's what you do. What else you got?
I saw today a couple of the roles that The Rock almost got cast in.
Okay. What are they?
Well, I forgot most of them.
Oh.
But the funniest one was Willy Wonka.
Oh,
instead of Johnny.
That would be a totally different movie.
Instead of Johnny Depp. Isn't that funny?
That is funny.
Let me see if I can find there was like the first article on IMDb. Let me see if I can just...
Alright, you look at that, and I'm going to talk about what I've been up to.
Okay, well, would you want to see a Rock movie? Or
Willy Wonka?
movie?
I'd watch that.
Oh, here's the other one.
Okay.
Jack Reacher.
Oh, instead of Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jack Reacher is supposed to be tall. And, you know, Tom Cruise is very small, so that would fit better.
I'm a book guy, alright? I know.
Yeah. Jack Reacher series is... Granddad really likes that.
I actually like the movie, the first movie. I haven't seen the second one.
Second movie was good. I thought they were alright.
What do you have to say?
So, the only thing I wanted to bring up was I saw some more stuff on the Crisis on Infinite Earths that's coming out.
Yeah. Is it all the stuff I posted?
Yeah. So let's talk about that just real quick, because that was awesome.
Yeah, we should talk about that more next week.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, alright. Is it Kevin Conroy?
So, yeah, Kevin Conroy's doing what?
He's going to be Bruce Wayne, and I'm not sure how they're going to do it, because he didn't look like him.
Oh, yeah, they'll figure that out. Did you see that Michael Rosenbaum was coming back as Lex Luthor?
I did.
For the Michael Rosenbaum.
I'm actually most excited about Burt Ward coming back.
Burt Ward going to play a Robin, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty epic.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
And then Brandon Roush is going to do both the... Is it Roush?
No, I just said it.
What'd you say?
Ralph.
So he's going to do
It
both.
might be Ruth.
Okay, Ralph. But he's going to do both the Adam and the Kingdom Come Superman. Double duty.
So I actually saw a picture of him as Kingdom Come Superman.
It looked pretty good. Did he have the white hair?
No.
He had like temple white hair.
But he had like the dark symbol. It's pretty good looking. It's good.
And this one excited me. Tom Welling is going to make an appearance as Clark Kent. Tom Welling.
You mean
Smallville.
Dean Cain?
No, Tom Welling.
I think they should have Dean Cain.
Well, who's to say they won't try to get Terry Hatcher and Dean Cain in it?
I don't know. Do you know? Oh shoot, I've already forgotten her name. The Wonder Woman lady's coming back.
Linda Carter?
Yeah, she's coming back.
She was the president on Supergirl.
Yeah, she's
right?
gonna be Wonder Woman.
She's going to be Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
No, seriously?
Yeah.
Well, now that officially becomes the most exciting news I've heard.
Someone else is coming back too. A lot of people are coming back.
I've given up on those shows, but
I just about said Adam West might come back.
Yeah, Adam West isn't gonna make it back.
That just broke my heart.
I know he's not gonna make it back. But we've given up on those shows because they got a little soap opera. But I'm definitely gonna be tuning in for Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, I think I will too.
Have to, right?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be good.
All right, so
and I bet you Green Arrow dies. That's my.
Yeah. Since that show's gone off the air, I agree that there's going to be a new.
It's a bad chair to have. It's very squeaky chair. Listen to this.
It is very squeaky.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not going to play well on YouTube.
Oh man, it's not going to play well on iTunes either.
No, it's not. It's not. I'm glad we have a forgiving audience and they've gotten used to our little foibles.
You know what I feel like?
What?
I feel like the Heat and Cold Miser, but with iTunes and YouTube.
So you feel like like you're am I Mr. 101?
Yes.
Okay, I felt like I was more the angrier one.
iTunes, I'm Mr. Podcast. I'm Mr.
Keep working on that, okay?
I'm getting.
I just know I'm angry. I'm angry in 101.
You're. Yeah.
All right, we ready to talk to Kennedy?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so we will see you back momentarily with Mr. Kennedy Phillips.
Goodbye.
Boom!
I hate you.
We good?
I think so.
You turn us off?
No, it's still recording. Go ahead and turn this off for a minute. Back to another opinionated interview. Is that what we're doing? Oh, that's not too soon.
You may have jumped too soon.
Start hey, everybody, it's Brett. All right, everybody, and welcome to another opinionated interview. Friendship. That's
what in the world? That's the best you could come up with? We've had like a week to come up with something. That's what you came up with?
Well, the part that confused me is the fact that this isn't the beginning of the episode, that we're going to go back and do that.
That's right.
So I wasn't sure how to do it.
So we're going to speak with our new friend,
Kennedy Phillips. All right, time out. I gotta ask you this. What is the category of your show? What do I call it? An audio drama? Audio
drama.
Oh, great. Yeah. Okay. He's the creator of an audio drama called Magus. Help me out.
Magus Elgar.
Magus Elgar.
Oh my gosh, I could have done that myself. Like I said, everybody that watches this show knows that I'm terrible with pronunciations because I always pronounce it like I think.
It's actually kind of a running gag that nobody pronounces Magus properly. Because Magus is not a very common part of people's vernacular.
Don't you think it should be though?
I think so.
I think so too.
What would the?
You've got wizard, you've got sorcerer, and most people just kind of identify all of those as the same thing in their head. So like, why would Magus be an extra thing?
What would be the difference between the three?
Well, in D&D terms, quite a bit.
We can talk about it.
Like Dungeons and Dragons, like I know, like Wizard, they use like somatic components. Sorcerer, they have like this innate talent, which I actually took a couple of ideas from for my own show as the difference between Sorcerer, Wizard, and Magus, because I actually have all three in the show.
Oh, yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about. Is it Magus? Is that what we're going with?
It's Magus.
Magus. All right. In my head, I keep going Magus. It's Magus. So I want to talk about that because Brett and I have been watching, and what incredibly unique show. I mean, it's exciting to watch. It's like it reminds me of listening to old school radio. You know, where they did the shows where you have somebody doing a different character for each person in the show, and it's like it combines that with the best audiobook that you can pick up.
Hey, how about I give you a more modern reference? It's like that Wolverine podcast, but fantasy. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Nowadays, a lot of audio dramas have been coming into like a new kind of renaissance, where it's this wild west of incredible productions that are coming in from all walks of life. There's productions that have like this incredible sound design and incredible voice acting from people you've never heard of, with like no names or anything like that. There's no like celebrity or huge production company attached to it. It's just a bunch of people with really inspired ideas for their recordings, which is pretty much where I come from. That I was generally an unknown person that wanted to prove that he could direct, and that's where this ended up coming into.
Yeah, that's great. And we kind of jumped ahead a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came up with this idea?
Of course. Hi, greetings, acolytes. My name is Kennedy Phillips. I'm a sound designer, video editor, Foley artist, and voice actor, and man of many hats with lots of names attached to them. You'll probably find me doing post-production for films and other things, mostly freelance. I started my career getting my master's degree in editing and sound design production at Chapman University. If you're not familiar with Chapman University, we're the guys that created the Stranger Things guys. So
nice.
You go. We also did. We're also behind The Fourth Kind. Sorry. I went into. I wanted to go into film because I knew I was going to be an entertainer. And I've done a couple of jobs. I've worked with DreamWorks TV on the YouTube series Draw My Dream. I've done like 30 episodes of sound design and editing on that. I've worked on a short film for the Jim Henson Company called Amaterasu, which just got nominated for Best Post-Production.
Nice job. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I've worked on tons of short films and feature-length films that are too numerous to name right now, but they're probably things you haven't heard of. Not in the hipster kind of sense, but more in that like they're just like a little niche thing that was pushed out there at some point or another.
Now, we're all about the niches here, aren't we? The niches.
I suppose we are.
Yeah. Well, and if I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this wasn't your first attempt, right? Because we're always interested because it took us a few attempts at launching a podcast before we were able to get one off the ground that we were happy with. But you attempted something similar a while back, and then this was your newest effort.
Yeah. So when I was an undergrad at college, I was dabbling in voice acting with some laptop microphones and WavePad, which is a single-track editing bit of software that was free at the time.
Yep.
Junkie.
I'll say we know about that.
And I made an audio drama for myself where I did all the voices all in one take, and added sound effects after the fact. It was terrible, but I loved it. It was so much fun.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
well, and at least you've got a good audio voice. That's something, and Brett does pretty well with that. Most of us aren't blessed with a good on-air voice. So
I would like to point out that this is 2 tracks before you get all uppity about it. There's 2 on here.
Hey, I wasn't saying a word.
I've been told that I have some dulcet tones for voice acting, and this kind of training requires years of practice to actually get yourself to that level. Though
That's
some of us
awesome.
are talented, in which case that's incredibly unfair.
I'm sorry, dude. Are you the narrator?
No, I'm actually not the narrator in the show.
Oh,
Believe it or not, even though that would have been a lot cheaper.
Yeah, no, that was killer.
That was awesome. It makes me. I think what the question we want to ask is, could you DM our next Dungeons and Dragons game? That's
Actually, I probably could. I do a lot of DMing for fun. What I actually do is when I come up with original stories and stuff for my various RPG campaigns, and I end up using them as a basis to spearhead other projects, other ideas.
I get that. Yeah.
For example, probably the most ambitious project I have in my docket that I want to build one day, but I'm not quite ready yet because it's a very complicated venture, is a Lovecraftian horror mystery set in the 90s called The Quizzical Capstones of Octan Frobishobi.
Oh, I'm in on that.
It's a filmmaker who creates a magnum opus every 5 or 6 years and completely revolutionizes film every time he does it. And at the cusp of him creating his greatest work, he disappears.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that try to go and investigate what happened to him discover that his films are actually alternate dimensions that have been compressed into films for the entertainment of others.
I like that.
That's upsetting. I hope we're never filmed. Gosh.
Frobishobi.
No,
Frobishobi. I love
Frobishobi.
the name so much because every time that I pronounce it the first time, even though they only know it phonetically, they still pronounce it wrong.
That's a tough word.
Yeah, but
Stop
I
it,
run
Frobishobi.
other RPGs. Right now I'm doing 2 supervillain campaigns, and I'm also doing the Frobishobi one. But I actually use a different system than D&D, if only because it's faster, it's quicker, and a little more exciting, and I can move around and do a lot more, and I can improv a lot better. So my stories are very role-play heavy.
How far are you from West Virginia? Because I'd be fine with that. It sounds
Oh no, man! They got Roll20. We could just do this thing online. I've got webcams. I can record it, all that stuff. It'd be fun.
That would be fun. We've been trying to get a D&D show kind of going off, but Patreon's not paying the bills yet. So
it's getting there. It's getting there.
Gosh, that sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it does sound good. So are you using your own set of rules? You're not doing Call of Cthulhu, anything like that?
No, there's a book that I have called Savage Worlds. It's a much looser, more open system for people to use. Instead of you having a D20 to roll everything, you instead just roll specific die types depending on your stats. And every character's main character gets a D6 called a wild die that they can replace any of their bad rolls with.
Well, that sounds pretty good.
It is pretty good. I'll talk to Drew about that tonight.
And the best part is the dice explode. So if you roll a 6, you can roll it again ad nauseum. Each time you get the maximum result on it. It's a lot of fun. It's really fast.
Well, it's kind of like a critical hit, but it just keeps going.
Yeah, and they even discern who goes first, not by initiative order, but rather by a deck of cards. So you're holding up the cards in the order that you get them. And there's stats that let you get more cards or other things like that. But it's all it's actually kind of exciting because it's a bit of a mystery who's going to go first and what benefits they'll get during those little scenarios.
Drew's gonna like this episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say we need to check that out because I've heard of that but just didn't know any details about it.
Yeah, look up a system called Savage Worlds Adventures Edition. I believe the Explorers Edition is on Drive-Thru RPG for $10.
Yeah, we just promoted. Let's see if I can remember his name. Richard Knack, that does some of the Dragonlance books. He's selling some of his stuff on there.
Yeah, that's nifty.
Yeah, on Drive-Thru RPG. So that kind of brought that to our attention. So
I should do that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because you can put up just about anything on there.
Yeah.
It is. I did like what you said though about kind of your campaigns turn into things because that's how I try to write, but a lot of my ideas come from just trying to create a campaign for my friends using something that's not D&D, and that makes sense. That's totally cool that you've actually done something with it.
Yeah, we need to check that out.
Yeah, I know, but.
Well, so let's talk a little bit about this world you've created. So I know Brett and I were both on episode 2,
Yeah, I'm halfway through episode 2. And,
It hooks you pretty quick.
I'm already kind of confused, but I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it. But I feel like it should be simple.
Well, and I like that you're doing the characters. I think kind of inspired by Terry Pratchett. Is that
Yes.
Is that right? Because it kind of like what he does with Discworld, where the characters are kind of flawed and have some depth to them.
Well, the one thing that I really like about Terry Pratchett, the one thing I really like about Terry Pratchett is that he has this absolutely silly perspective on really complicated ideas.
Right.
That he has this novel approach that is unlike anybody I really know out there, just about a lot of the big questions in life, and all of the really, really tough things that usually get breathed in philosophy and big fancy words. But probably one of my favorite lines that he had was, they had in this book called The Hogfather.
Right.
There's this part where they're talking about the equivalent of Santa Claus disappearing, and Death is filling in for his role to make sure that Christmas happens. It's not Christmas. They call it like the Hogfather or whatever in Hogsmeade.
Right.
I think it's Hogsmeade, but
I was actually about to check
someone
that book
asked
out
him,
yesterday.
if Santa Claus didn't exist, if Santa Claus did not do their things, wouldn't the sun rise? Wouldn't the sun still rise every morning? And Death says, no. And she's like, really? What would happen? Well, a giant flaming ball of gas in space would rise up instead. It just speaks a lot about just the idea of the magic of creativity and belief and inspiration
Right.
that comes from the human condition is all interconnected in spectacular ways.
Right.
That's one thing I admired about that and what I took as like a basis for where I wanted to go with my story.
Well, yeah, and let's talk about that. Tell us about your world and what people can expect when they go to the website and take a listen.
So Magus Elgar is a fantasy comedy about a extremely talented and wildly irresponsible Magus and his apprentice Udo, who simply does not want to die.
Who is I think some of the things that he says is the funniest in the show so far. Like I like the Magus pretty well, but just his apprentice cracks me up. Just kind of
he
like
is
the stuff
funny.
he says, yeah.
He's so flat affect, and I love it. But anyway, so they discover an artifact called the Mirror Cauldron, which is this. It's like a regular wizard's cauldron or something, but it's made out of solid mercury. And they figure that they run into a sorcerer who was about to cast some horrible magic on it, and it backfired on him. So Magus decides to do the responsible thing by casting spells indiscriminately into it until something happens. And they end up running into a completely alternate dimension from their own, called, and I know this is going to be a very obscure reference, it's a dimension called Earth, where they have a product called Science. In contrast to their magic. After a series of blunders and events, the scientists' lab on Earth implodes into the magical world of Hearth, and all of his tools start taking on magical properties, and they have to recover them and try to diffuse them from being used terribly before all of reality gets ripped apart. Or at least, before they find out that it was their fault in the first place.
Well, of course. How many episodes do you think there's going to be?
There are 11 episodes. We are currently drafting up ideas for season 2, at least until we can get some kind of funding.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Sure. And somewhat handsome podcasting actors, I assume, would also be Probably available if you ask them nicely, I suppose.
Oh,
Well, we do have other characters in mind, because in season 1 we hint at these characters called the Council of Nine, which are these 9 very imposing figures who manage and maintain all order in the country that they're in.
Sure.
And they also they have a dubious relationship with the Ministry of Casters, which is an organization solely revolving around the different kinds of casters in Hearth. Now, I know you're probably going to say, doesn't that sound suspiciously like the Ministry of Magic? Well,
Right.
The whole thing is that casters have their own responsibilities and other things like that, and they tried probably filing for Ministry of Magic, but that was copyright.
It's already taken.
It was already taken.
You look like a 5, Brett. I think you could play a 5.
I can play number 5.
Number 5. I think that's the one for you.
Thanks.
If I recall, that is the Ministry, the Counselor of Corruption, Beryl
Nailed it.
Bearcore. He is
Just like
a
me.
creature called a phantasmid, which is a race of insect-like creatures who are quite divas, wanting to create a lot of the biggest and greatest creations of all time, whether it be through magic or artwork or something like that, even if it means ultimately sacrificing themselves to make that magnum opus. Beryl Bearcore, unfortunately, has a condition where he sounds like the most evil person imaginable, and he is often indicted for being the primary suspect on almost every case, despite being the Counselor of Corruption.
I'm not sure how evil I can sound. I'm sorry.
No, I think you got it. You got this. Could he sound like Christopher Walken?
Oh, come on. Every episode, I can barely do it. Gosh.
Funny enough, I always imagined him to sound like a cross between Alan Rickman and Tim Curry.
Oh, now there you go. You could do that.
We haven't
That'd be
casted him
hilarious.
yet, but I mean, again, when we get the chance in season 2, he'll show up for a little bit. He's going to be fun. We
I'll
also
send you
have
all my voices.
one character who is going to be in a small side series for fun while we're making season 2, called The Damage Report, which is run by the Counselor of Catastrophe, Darlia Maplethorne.
I think that's me.
We already casted her, and she's just absolutely delightful because she
You
spends
would've been
time
delightful.
handling all of the natural and unnatural disasters in Hearth with her secretary, a little wooden statue of a puppy named Mr. Pupple.
Oh, that's hilarious. So, where do you find your voice actors?
Originally, I found it at voices.com.
Okay.
As time went on, I started looking around and asking for other places. I've been going to castingcall.club, LA Casting, and I know quite a few people who are friends of mine who give me suggestions, like Sandra Espinoza, who plays Kaylee Fawn, the apprentice to Dr. Gra Horatio and secret supervillain. Don't tell anybody.
I won't tell.
She was casted because a friend of mine recommended her YouTube page, and I found it, and I instantly fell in love with her, and asked her to audition, and she was just perfect for the role.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I like the concept behind Dr. Horatio, because you describe him as very defensive and neurotic, and I thought that sounded like a pretty fun character.
Yeah, as for Udo, I didn't get him from any kind of casting website or anything like that. He's just a friend of mine. His voice
That's the best
is
kind.
so iconic and recognizable to me that I didn't want to pull that away from the character, which I based all of my inspiration around.
Right.
He's good. I told you, he's my favorite so far.
Well, funny enough, we had to work really hard to get him where he was, because he had no acting experience whatsoever. We had to get him acting classes, we had to do a lot of prompting, and then when we finally started recording, my favorite story with him is one of the first lines in the show, in the first episode, is him just saying, I could use a little privacy. It's a stairwell. Oh, the thing. That took us 25 takes.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. That seems
Because, well, what happened was the first, like, 15 takes, I would be like, all right, so go ahead and make the record, go ahead and do the line. You want to sound like you need a little private. You're kind of nervous. Make sure that you want to set aside the room because you don't want to be embarrassed.
Right.
It's almost like you got to change your clothes or something. All right. All the same. Okay, that was good. I'd like you to sound a little bit more bashful. All right? All the same. Okay, that was good. I'd like you to sound coquettish, like you want to flirt with them. Let's just try that a little bit. All right. All the same. All right, now I want you to sound really angry. Like I really want you to belt this out. I want you to just usher him out of the room. All right. All the same. Okay, so I end up saying like, all right, I need you to come in here. He goes, what are you talking about? I did them all different. So I brought them in and I synced them all up on top of each other and played them all at the same time, and it sounded like the Borg Collective.
That's hilarious.
And he just like starts laughing. He's like, "Oh my god, it all sounds the same." I go, "Yeah, it's all the same."
How did he get out of it? Did he finally? Obviously did. I'd listened to it, but hey.
Well, Andrew Cornell, who was our vocal director, was a big help about that.
Oh.
We did a really good job trying to get all that stuff figured out, and he eventually came through with his voice. It was challenging. It does take a little bit more takes than most, but once you get him, you can tell where it ends up.
Right.
Before we get too far away, I would like to ask you just who are the Unblinking?
The Unblinking is a spectral entity from a pocket dimension in Hearth. It is a collective of eyes, always watching, always observing, wishing to consume experiences that fascinate it.
Oh, well, that was my guess.
It really wants to watch you at all times, and if you catch their attention. Incidentally, casters use that pocket dimension as a shortcut to teleport.
Oh.
So just keep your eyes closed, and it won't like make eye contact with you, and then like start observing every aspect of your life because the Unblinking transcends time and space. So
yeah,
if you make eye contact with this thing, you'll suddenly have memories of disembodied eyes watching you at every point in your life.
All right, just
well, we don't want that.
I don't think I want to do that.
What character do you play?
I play 3 characters.
Okay.
I play the great Fantavar, and also he kind of goes down to the Tate Straub, who is this charlatan that gets his hands on a stamp or scientific tool augmented with magical power for long, trying to see if he can make a business out of it. But I also do, let's see, I also do Kake.
Oh, Kake, yeah.
The little creature that talks a lot, and I also do Mega Cigari, which I'm also noticing I'm using the back of my throat for these voices a lot, but I mean they're fun. But Mega Cigari is a character from episode 9, who is a magus who lives in Panorama Tower, a place that is currently floating up beyond the heavens from the Nemeluga whale that is currently stabbed into. I give weather reports from time to time.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Episode 9.
Yeah, that's in episode 9.
You better be drinking a lot of honey tea. That seems like that'd be hard on the voice.
That voice does not hurt me nearly as much as quite a few others. This is actually pretty easy for me to do nowadays.
Wow.
I do a voice for D&D. It's just an orc. It's nothing crazy, but that one just destroys my voice. I don't know what that's about.
A voice that I had to do for another audio drama, which I highly recommend you look into if you want something much more serious than mine, is The Call of the Flame. Where I play as a vampire who's existed for many years.
Sounds like a vampire.
That sounds so painful. That sounds so painful.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite roles to play, just because everybody wants, when they think of vampire, they think of, I want to make sure that you know how intimidating I am, or they want something deep and very posing or something like that. But I went with something that has been alive for way too long.
There it is.
Yeah, that's what we were waiting on.
Gosh.
What can you give us a quick kind of explanation on how magic works in your world?
Yes, there are 3 types of casters in Magus Elgar. We actually have a series called The Primer that explains how magic comes to be, how magic works, and that their relationship with these entities called the elements, which are abstract and concrete representations of everything in Hearth. Sorry. From fire to food comas.
Right.
Some of them blip in and out of existence, but the way that you get magic in this is that you mock them. You insult the laws of everything that is and will be, and they are so insecure that when you insult them and mock them in the ancient tongue of Trike, they attempt to smite you, which you then channel into magical energy. Now, what happens from that point is all dependent on what kind of caster you are. If you're a sorcerer, you'll take the hit and use your own life force as part of the cast, which makes it extremely powerful, but also starts taking a toll on your sanity. If you're a wizard, you build somatic components by creating like a homunculi of whatever it is that's trying to insult them, because wizards can't get the attention of the elements normally. And their spells are usually much more complicated and involved because of that. And then a magus is kind of like a blend between the two. They cast like a sorcerer, but they do studies similar to wizards. And they have these objects called totems, which allows them to like channel the energy into it like a lightning rod and use it without using their own ether or magical potential.
Right, kind of like a Thor's hammer. Is that?
Yeah, it's similar to that.
That was the only thing I could think of. I'm sure there's a better example.
Well, yeah, but you have to, as a magus, you have to take the time to attune yourself to the totem, so that when you're channeling the energy into it from it, it doesn't break or malfunction because like it's not compatible with you. Which is amusing because Kaylee, who eventually gets her hands on spellcasting herself because she has a lot of magical potential, she does not have the patience to make a totem. So she's just grabbing whatever she can get her hands on and has a bag of them. It's like, spell. Oh, it broke. Okay, next one.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What happens if it goes wrong?
Spells backfire quite frequently, and they usually have a backlash equivalent to the strength of the spell being cast. For example, in episode 3, Wizard Quaff attempts to close a portal to what he thinks is the Unblinking, which is not what is happening, because it's a portal to Earth. And the spell backfires and ends up imploding Dr. Horatio's laboratory.
Not ideal.
Until all the events later on. The other spells, if you try to cast with a broken totem, it ends up shunting and it ends up hurting you and malfunctioning.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was thinking. Sounds like a very dangerous occupation if you're wanting to wield the magic.
Doesn't seem fun.
No. I'll stick with the thief or the fighter.
No, yeah, that seems... I would also say with the... Oh, good.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, we should probably get into our topic now.
Yeah, absolutely we should. Well, let's ask you this. So if someone wants to go and learn more about Magus Elgar, did I get it right that time? Magus. Daggone, I want to say Magus so bad. Magus Elgar, where should they go to find out more?
Go to maguselgar.com. We've got a list of all the episodes. We've got extras and other things like that. We've got transcripts of all the episodes that you can read if you're into that sort of thing.
I am.
We also have lots of nifty extras like posters of every episode. We have videos,
it's a really well done website.
Short on the website as well. You can we just went free as a podcast. You can find us on Spreaker or Spotify or any other places, and you'll be able to see that for free. We're also on a new podcast. We're cycling through that. If you want to just get like a nice high-quality version of the show, we are available wherever audiobooks are sold. We've been nominated for Best Original Work, so you know that it's going to be good stuff. You can get it from like iTunes, Audible, Amazon. I know that I've got a Bandcamp for this sort of thing if you want to get the regular edition or the fancy edition, which comes with some bloopers and sound effects that I created, as well as the soundtrack, which you can get for like I think $12. You can get the regular edition for $8, which is like less than $1 an episode.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll make sure we put all of that info on the front when we release the podcast, so that's no problem.
Yeah.
So what's our topic today, Brett?
Topic's gonna be favorite or best fantasy novels, which
or series, novels or series.
Novels or series, and yeah, I think that seems fair. Who would like to start?
Well, I think we.
I can tell you my least favorite.
Okay, what's your least favorite?
Lord of the Rings. I think they're too boring.
That's a hot take.
They're so boring. I've never read something so boring.
But have you finished the entire series?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you what's not boring. The Hobbit. That's a very good book. Like, I respect the fact that he kind of founded fantasy and all that. And the movies are
you
good.
can tell that he got a little bit caught up in his in building the history and the lore of the world.
Yeah, no,
he's a historian first and a storyteller second.
Yeah, it's like there's no fun in it. It's like take the cocaine and just have some fun.
Oh my goodness.
I've always said
there's
that.
Some good moments. I mean, there's that one wizard who was such a ludicrous character that they like omitted him from most of the film series or something. I can't remember what his name was.
There are some good stuff, but
Well, I always said that Fellowship of the Rings is, in parts, kind of like reading Chronicles in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just it takes imagery, kind of like Chronicles takes just a list of names. So I mean, it describes a tree down to just finite details, and it'll just wear you out. But if you can get past all of that, pretty good book.
I'll tell you the part that gets me is the fights. So every fight, the main character gets knocked out or incapacitated somehow, and then he wakes up and everything's fine.
He missed the fight,
and then they explain the fight to him. That's awful. It's so frustrating.
You want the details, don't you?
Yes, I want the details.
Yeah. Well, Kennedy, what series is your favorite or least favorite? Either one.
Well, I got two favorites.
Okay.
And this is probably going to expose my predisposition to junk. I mean, while I absolutely love the Discworld series. I bar none on that.
Right.
That's one of my favorites. However, I have two that I really like reading a little bit more in some cases, if only because it's still like just something a little fun for me to go that's not too ridiculously involved. And that's Simon R. Green's Nightside series.
Oh, okay.
Which is it's a novel about John Taylor, a supernatural private investigator with a gift for finding things, going to this alternate world underneath London where it's always 3 o'clock in the morning, and monsters and deities mill about and try to scam you.
Oh, that
sounds pretty good.
It's got its own peculiar sense of humor. It's very silly. It's definitely one of those kind of stories that you would expect to be like an audio drama.
Right.
Back in yesteryear, similar to the Green Hornet, where they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's just something fun.
Right.
And there's 15 books of this.
Oh.
And there's definitely my favorites in it, like Angels of Light and Darkness, where the unholy grail ends up in the night side, and this and because the night side is like this neutral zone between heaven and hell, they usually don't get involved in this area. But then once the unholy grail shows up, they're like, "Screw it, we got to do this."
Got to do it.
It does sound fun.
It does sound fun. We need to check that one out because I haven't read that one either.
Is it is it kind of set on Earth? Is that modern times?
It's on Earth. It's just Nightside's kind of like this. It's kind of like Diagon Alley or the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, where like the magic world is underneath the regular world. But the other one that I like that is a lot more robust and serious is one that I would actually compare somewhat to A Song of Ice and Fire,
right?
Called the Demon Cycle series, which is done by Peter V. Brett. The first book of that is called The Warded Man. Imagine if you took all of the political intrigue and dynamics and stuff of Game of Thrones, but made it primarily about the White Walkers' invasion. Where the actual threat of that being so prevalent is a defining feature of the story, rather than a lot of the little political plays that they do underneath it. Most of it is dictated by that thing, where demons come out every night, regardless of where you are, and they just come out of the ground and start attacking things indiscriminately, and they have to ward off these cities to keep them from getting in. But eventually there's this thing that's going to come about called the Daylight War, where the demons, who normally take a lot of damage to the sun, are no longer inhibited by the sun because of, like, I think it's an eclipse, or there's a point where, like, the sun's not going to be around for a while and they're going to wreak havoc on everything. And it focuses on Arlen Bales, Leisha Paper, and Roger Halfgrip, a boy who starts tattooing himself with magical wards to make himself, like, into this ubermensch. Leisha Paper, who is a herb gatherer, who's basically kind of like a witch or something that builds magic from these wards, and Roger Halfgrip, who is a jongleur or a bard or a performer whose music can actually repel and control the demons.
That sounds really good.
It's really exciting. I've gotten through like 4 books of it, and I enjoy it so much.
Well, is it fairly recent series, like last 20 years, something like that?
Yeah, last 20 years. It's pretty recent. Yeah. Like, I think he might have just finished off the last of the books. And, like, I listen to them in audiobooks because I'm like way too busy to read books.
That's the best way to read them, because you can just go from one to the next, without having to wait, say, 7-8 years between books.
Well, that's what's kind of nice about being 19, is the fact that I can just catch up.
Yeah,
and everything's out. It's just...
Well, yeah, like if I'm not sure if you guys have read any of Terry Pratchett's stuff. I know the last book that he made, which is such an interesting idea for the Discworld series, is called Raising Steam, where they start introducing the Industrial Revolution to Ankh-Morpork.
I started. I've only read one Terry Pratchett book, and I don't know if it's cheating or not, but it's Good Omens, which is...
Yeah, Good Omens is not a Discworld book, but it's a Terry Pratchett book that he worked with Neil Gaiman, because they eventually made that TV series out of it. It's a phenomenal book.
But
if you want me to recommend a good starting point for Terry Pratchett, Color of Magic.
Yeah, I bought that one after I read Good Omens. So I'm ready, but
that's the first Discworld book, right? Color Magic.
I think so.
Yes.
I hope so. I bought it.
Yeah, Brett.
Yeah, it is. They actually made it into a film where they have like Sam from Lord of the Rings and Tim Curry and Christopher Lee are all in it.
That sounds great.
It's fantastic as a mini series kind of thing. So it's like a 3-hour dealie, but it's a good adaptation of it, because it preserves a lot of that brand of humor. Mm-hmm. But the book is still just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, I've got Brett reading Wheel of Time right now. He's on the 3rd book of that.
A friend of mine tried to get me into a role-playing game involving Wheel of Time, and it collapsed before the 2nd session.
Yeah, I've actually played a few sessions of Wheel of Time, but it's been 20 years ago. Probably,
that seems so hard. That doesn't seem like a role-playing universe. That just doesn't seem...
Oh, no, he found a way. Like, he was finding a way to get us involved with it. It's just a matter of getting the time to actually do it. Sure. He works as a firefighter.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Wheel of Time's one of those... It's not beginner fantasy, because there's so many characters you have to keep up with, and there's people dying and coming back as different genders and different characters, and I mean I'm looking forward to see how Amazon translates that to the screen without losing the audience.
My favorite part about Wheel of Time, this is awful, I suppose, but my favorite part about Wheel of Time is that Brandon Sanderson finishes it, and that, in my mind, he's just waiting for George Martin to die. I don't know why that's so funny to me.
He's gonna jump in and finish.
He's like, I'm gonna finish this.
That's pretty good. All right, I know, Kennedy, you gotta get going, so I'm gonna read through.
Unfortunately,
I'm gonna read through just real quick a list of series, and you guys, if you have any quick takes on it, throw it out there. We'll finish up.
go
here.
for it.
All right. So the first one is the Chronicles of Prydain, Lloyd Alexander.
Haven't heard of him, man.
Regrettably, I've not heard of that one.
No.
You probably have. Disney screwed up the adaptation of Black Cauldron, which is the second book in the series.
Okay.
It's from the 60s. It's more a young adult fantasy series, but definitely didn't do it justice with Black Cauldron. But
Give me a list of these. I might need to give myself some more reading in the future.
that's right. All right, I'll get you a list. So how
Yeah,
about
keep
the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant?
Gosh, man, why you?
Sorry, not ringing a bell.
All right, so in this one, it's very derivative of Tolkien, except that the main character is extremely unlikable and has leprosy. So,
Why does that make it better then?
well, I don't know if it's better. But it's different, I guess. But so I don't know. How about this one? Brett just started too. Was Salvatore's Dark Elf trilogy or Icewind Dale trilogy? Either one.
You know, the one thing that I can tell you about R.A. Salvatore is that he has absolutely gorgeous imagery, wonderful descriptions.
Yeah, he does good with the fight scenes too.
He does amazing environments.
Yes.
His plots never get to me. His
Agreed.
plots never sell me.
And we're back.
Where'd we go?
Oh, please don't do the camera.
So we had a little hiccup there, right?
Yeah, I can explain it real quick.
Why don't you explain it real quick?
Camera died.
Is that the technical term?
Yeah, camera died.
Why did the camera die, Brett?
Ran out of battery.
What caused the battery to run out, Brett?
Low battery.
Why did we have a low battery, Brett?
His battery's going low.
No, you forgot to plug the cord in. It's got a cord, right? The cord you plug right into the outlet, and then it keeps it from dying.
In my defense, I didn't forget.
And wouldn't it be great if batteries, instead of just dying, like you just boom and you're gone, wouldn't it be great if it just faded out so you're like, my favorite fantasy novel. Wouldn't that be great if it did that? That'd be cooler.
You're really rubbing this in.
Yeah, I'm rubbing it in. So we were talking with Kennedy, and we lost the last couple of minutes, right?
But to the podcast listeners, which I care about a lot more than my dad.
Well, we do love the podcast listener.
It's a podcast.
It is a podcast, but it's also a YouTube.
But it's a podcast.
So now poor Kennedy.
This is a video podcast.
Poor Kennedy is out there talking to the ether, and it's not getting recorded.
It is. It's
it got recorded on the podcast, but on the video, you're not going to see that. It's just going to die.
Only a little bit.
I know, a couple minutes, but you're going to miss Kennedy's spiel.
Well, then you just listen to the actual podcast. It's not a big
But will
deal.
they? Will you YouTubers? Will you?
I don't know if you know this, Dad, but the podcast, is where we get more views. I don't know why you care about the YouTube more.
Because one day, YouTube is going to catch up to the podcast.
I care about you listening.
Let me ask you a question. You want to be an actor?
Well,
it's a serious question. You want to be an actor?
Yeah.
Shouldn't people see your face?
Sure.
Can they see your face on a podcast?
I'm just saying.
No! They can't see your face on a podcast! You know where they can see your face? YouTube.
And they still can't. You know what? favorite fantasy novel.
All right. So we wanted to, since we died there for just a moment, we wanted
did
to
it on the podcast. It's all good.
we wanted to finish up with our favorite fantasy novels. So if you see a little hiccup there, just laugh about it and say, "Those crazy two opinionated boys. Will they ever figure it out?" Stay tuned.
We did figure it out.
All right. So I named off a few of the, and I'm not sure where exactly it cut. So
Don't restart. It's fine.
I'm not going to restart. So do you have any other fantasy books that you want to mention as in your favorite fantasy book list? Well, let me tell you. Before you do that, let me do a quick recap because our listeners may actually want to check some of these books out. So let me just do a real quick recap.
Okay.
Okay, I won't go into detail, but I'll just say if you're wanting to check these out, all these books are excellent. Chronicles of Prydain. First book is The Book of Three by Lloyd Alexander. It's a young adult fantasy. Excellent. One of my favorites. Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. The Dark Elf trilogy or the Icewind Dale trilogy is by R.A. Salvatore. Discworld
Which
by
I knew
Terry.
what I said about Drizzt. I really did hate him.
I know you're not a Drizzt fan. You need to read Icewind Dale though, and then maybe you'll like Wolfgar, who's a barbarian, or you'll like Brunner, who's a dwarf. I'm probably saying that wrong.
I just really don't think making a role-playing game a book really translates.
I enjoyed it though. I kind of enjoy some of the books that make me think about Dungeons and Dragons campaigns.
I guess, but it just doesn't work for me.
Well, that's okay.
Because they have specific things that kind of make sense in a game, but don't make sense.
They don't translate well.
They don't translate.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So Discworld by Terry Pratchett. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Which I do at the first book.
Yeah, I'd like to read that too.
Mm-hmm.
The Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss. I think I got that right. Rothfuss.
Also, I was under the impression that this audiobook that Kinsey was doing, audio drama, was
audio fantasy drama,
was written by Terry Pratchett. It's just inspired.
It's just inspired by it, and I mean, what a great concept. And you know, we did not do the story justice. I mean, our listeners definitely should go and check that out because. I mean, he's created an entire world. He's got detailed magic rules. He's got characters with depth and humor. I mean, it's really well done. And you know, we're a couple episodes in. I think there's 4 available right now of the 11 planned. Really good. Let's see what else. Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan.
Which I'm actually really enjoying it currently.
Well, it's my favorite fantasy series of all time.
I just mean where I'm at.
You're on book 3, Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, no, but the chapter that I'm at, I'm really enjoying.
What kind of who's headlining the chapter?
A Gwen.
Oh, a Gwen.
Yeah.
You always like the girl chapters.
I really like those.
What's happening with the Gwen right now?
Well, it's the 3 of them. It's Elaine, Gwen, and Nineveh, and. They all got raised to the accepted,
right?
But they're also being punished. But then there's the secret alternative where they have to hunt the Black Ajah, and it's so good.
It's good,
but I don't know why I like it.
They're all really strong in the one power.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's like I like Rand and Perrin and all that stuff, but that's kind of average normal fantasy what they're doing. A little bit,
right?
Like his swords and shields, and that's great.
Sure.
But like this stuff with the Aes Sedai and all that, it's different, it's new, it's interesting, and they're not just like normal, typical like women characters. They can stand on their own. They can do it.
Strong women characters.
The only problem is I do feel a little weird when they get sent off to get switches. That's
a little weird, right?
A little weird.
A little something there.
Yeah, but it's good. And there's
I like the, so there's 7 Ajas, and each Aja has a different collar, but they each specialize in different parts of magic, and I think that's cool.
It is cool.
Can you name any of them? So Yellow
I can
Aja, name them off.
Well, you just want me to Google them so I can give you the.
No, I can. Let's do it off memory.
So I'm pretty sure like the green Aja is It's like your warrior one.
Yeah, it's the battle Aja.
Yeah, and then you got your brown, which is like your history,
Right.
your educational ones.
Right.
I think blue is either protection,
Blue's protection.
and then yellow I think is healing.
Yellow is healing.
Red would be. Was that your male hunter? Is that what they
Yeah,
specialize?
they're specialized in. It's really an Aja that was created to track down male magic users.
Mm-hmm. Is it? Which one's the male one? Sadir or Sidin? I think Sidin.
Sidin.
No,
is,
it's Sadir.
It's Sadir.
It's
Sadir is the.
It's one of those, and so they hunt the male, and that's I like.
Well,
it.
and so in Robert Jordan's world, male magic users are driven insane because where they're drawing the magic from is tainted by the Dark One, and eventually it drives the male magic users crazy, and they end up causing a lot of damage and destruction. So this red Aja was created to find these men before they become dangerous, and actually it's called stilling, so they cut them off from magic, and doing that usually destroys the man.
It's a magical lobotomy.
Yeah, magical lobotomy. It destroys the man, but it protects everyone else.
Well, and I don't think destroys them. Like, it's not physically.
No,
like,
but mentally it messes them up.
It really is like a lobotomy.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And so Rand, who is the Dragon Reborn, you know, they're hunting him because he's like the most powerful male magic user out there. But right now he's young. Where you're at, he's very young, and he hasn't, you know, kind of learned his full abilities. But he's also going a little bit crazy.
It's very crazy.
So he hears the voice of Luz Tharen, who was a dragon reborn 1,000 years ago. And
I thought he was the dragon.
Well, he was. Luz Tharen, the way it works, it's called the Wheel of Time because it's a wheel. So it's like ages come and ages go, but they keep, you know, the same thing keeps coming around, just like a wheel would come around. So Luz Tharen was the previous dragon, and when...
Sorry, let me rephrase. I thought he was the original dragon.
No, he's not the original dragon.
No, so
he was the previous dragon.
Oh, okay.
So Rand is hearing actual Luz Tharen talking in his head.
Why is it him and not just the original dragon?
Well,
I'm pretty sure he's the original dragon.
He's eventually I believe he'll start hearing other dragons,
okay.
but Luz Tharen
Was this the previous
he
one?
was the previous one, and he went legit insane. Luz Tharen did, and so he's in Rand's head, and he's still crazy. So it's starting to drive Rand a little crazy because he's just in it. Like, imagine somebody being in your head just ranting and raving the whole time.
Yeah, that's
Craziness.
It is.
I'm so excited for this Amazon series. It's going to be so good. And then the last one I think I mentioned was the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, which is excellent series.
I haven't read it.
Yeah, you should. I tend to like fantasy series that are very detailed and in depth, and I mean they immerse you. You know, it's like a full world is created, and there's a lot of characters you gotta kind of delve into and study to get to follow the series, which is difficult.
I'm trying to think of another fantasy series that I've read, but I really.
Well, you're really kind of starting, and you've read a lot of horror with Stephen King, and you bounce around a little bit. One of them that I've been trying to get you to read is the Dragonlance series, the first 6 books. You know, where you didn't really like how Salvatore has kind of tried to translate Dungeons & Dragons into books. Dragonlance is much closer to nailing it. I mean, you would probably really enjoy Dragonlance.
Well, I've read Game of Thrones. That's another one that I've read.
And I'll throw this out there. Richard Knack, you know, Dragonlance, the first 6 books was written by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. And then from there, a lot of different authors wrote books that took place in that realm, in the Dragonlance realm. And Richard Knack is one of them that wrote a prequel book called Legend of Yuma, and then he wrote some of the other books about some of the Minotaur inhabitants of Kryn, I think is the world. He's a fan of the page. That was what I was trying to get at. Fan of the page, Richard Mack.
I know that because he sponsored us.
He has sponsored us at one point. Yes.
No, I don't know. The more I read, it may just be a weird thing, but the more I'm liking Game of Thrones, the less. Like, I like Game of Thrones a whole lot.
Yeah. Song, Ice, and Fire is the series, but Game of Thrones first
I'm
book.
making it easy.
I know. I'm with you. I'm just throwing it out there.
They know.
I'm a nerd snob.
You are a snob. You're just a snob. You
are.
are. You are just a straight.
We'll do better. I just want people to improve.
I've low-key hated you just this episode.
A little bit?
A little bit.
A little bit. I was doing a little battle with some fellow nerds. You know, I wanted to make sure I came out on top.
I just mean you
I was dropping some knowledge. I know I've been a little cranky today. You know, I'm pretty sure that I have a condition, and I'm pretty sure that I had some wheat a few days ago, and it is messing me up.
Hey,
celiac's no joke.
Can I tell you on the opposite
no joke.
end though? I learned that if you sleep more.
Celiac strong.
Celiac strong. I feel like I've learned this recently that if you get 8 hours of sleep, you poop.
That's how the body works. Yeah.
I gotta tell you. Oh, there's that dumb remote. I was looking everywhere for that.
It's over there.
That's why I had to walk over and do the camera.
Yeah, that's the remote over there.
Listen.
I'm drinking Diet Coke today because I can.
Thank you.
And also my wife's out of town. Don't tell.
That's funny.
Gosh. I don't have to ask permission. I just have to sneak about it.
I am embarrassed about the camera, I gotta say. Not even embarrassed. I'll tell you what was funny about it. I was telling Sean that when it went off, I was trying to figure out what the noise was. Like, what? I know that noise. I know that.
Yeah,
oh,
no. Well, and, you know, I have tried to get you to write down every possible step that needs to be done before we start. And you haven't done that yet.
I don't know if you know this, but you have a very accusatory tone. Do you know this?
I just want things done a certain way.
You want it to be professional.
I do want it to be professional, and we haven't got there yet.
I'm anti-profession.
You know, we haven't got there yet. You're anti-profession.
What can I say?
Oh my goodness.
I'm anti-profession.
Oh my goodness. Hey, I did have another series I wanted to bring up. A couple. I'll throw them out there. Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb, and it's a series of about 12 books.
I know Robin Hobb.
Yeah, really good, really good.
I haven't read it.
That's one of your stepsister's favorites.
I don't think I read
Emily's too. Emily really likes Robin Hobb.
Yeah, the more I'm realizing that I don't.
And Robin Hobb's, what do they call the names when it's not really the person?
It's called ghostwriting.
No, it's like a pen name.
No, it's a
pen name.
Alias.
I guess an alias, but it's like a pen name.
So
Robin Hobb's
there's
not
a word I'm
Arthur's
missing.
real name.
There's a word I'm missing. But I'm trying to figure. I don't think I read a whole lot of hardcore fantasy.
Right.
I think what I do, I like it a whole lot, but I do think if you read too much of it, you burn out from it.
Well, I agree. It can wear on you a little bit.
I think I read a lot of just kind of normal books. Like, that sounds weird, but like, I don't know. For me, it just depends. Yeah. I like to know kind of what tone I'm getting into when I'm reading. So if I'm sitting down to read a fantasy book, I know it's going to be a fantasy book.
Right.
I'm in that mindset. But then, something that bugs me a lot is when I read this normal book, and then it gets supernatural at the end.
Right.
Quickly and suddenly. And I hate that. Pretty much with not just books, just with everything.
You've always said that.
Well, it goes back to this game I played called Until Dawn. I've probably mentioned this a thousand times.
Yeah.
But the beginning of the game is you were being hunted at this cabin by a serial killer.
Right.
And mid-game, it turns out that the serial killer was just pranking you, and he was one of your friends.
Right.
But then there's still something hunting you, which was a Wendigo. And then now the whole game turned into you running and hunting Wendigos.
Yeah, you weren't a fan of that, were you?
No, I wanted it to be a serial killer game.
Right.
It's just...
It didn't shock you?
No, I just really didn't like that.
Yeah, I remember saying that.
But it happens a lot with... I don't want to say Stephen King, because you kind of know what you're getting into with Stephen King. Actually, no, Stephen King. because
he switches gears.
Well, the end of the book is always like, well, all right, that wasn't really the. I don't know. It just depends because he switches tones really quickly.
He does.
I read a book he wrote, The Outsider, and the first 200 pages was like this murder trial and all this stuff, and then halfway through, the guy on trial gets murdered. Spoilers, I suppose. And then it becomes a monster hunt, and I'm like, well, I was actually kind of cool with the investigation stuff. I read this book.
You would like to have kept going down that avenue.
Yeah, I just wanted to stay with the tone it started.
Right.
Because it's not really a twist to me. It's like, oh, you just, I don't know. It just really bugs me.
Do you remember how excited we were the day that Stephen King liked our page?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. Because he hasn't yet.
I'm sure he's listening.
Stephen.
I'm sure he's listening.
King.
I just so you know, I really regret flipping that. So,
I'm glad you did because I can see myself now.
I know, you're such a narcissistic asshole.
Yeah. hey, I prefer douchebag.
No, I prefer asshole.
So,
but did any of that what I said make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. You prefer a linear path. You don't want this jumping into a different type of genre. You're like, this is the genre I'm reading about, and I want to finish in this genre.
A little bit, yeah. That's
I got you.
I don't know. It's a weird thing that I have, but
we haven't talked about a couple of them. I'll just throw out there. I know we're short on time, but the Shannara series by Terry Brooks, that has a show on TV, and there's also
which is the book. Oh, oops. This is a book I would want to get into.
It's a really good series.
There's 30.
Yeah, there's a ton. There's
what
so
about
many.
Dune? Would that count?
Dune counts as I would count Dune. It could be sci-fi, but I count it as
or is it a sci-fi fantasy?
It's kind of sci-fi fantasy.
I don't know.
And there's also the Sword of Truth books by Terry Goodking that they did a Legend of the Seekers.
I think it might be Terry Goodkind.
Goodkind? Yeah, it is. Goodkind. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But there was a Legend. Yeah, there was a Legend of the Seeker TV shows based on those books that didn't do that well, but I kind of enjoyed it. It was very Xena type of quality, that type of quality TV show.
No, I guess we got it. Gosh, that sucks too. I really had a lot to say.
Well, go ahead.
I should not have that much, but he'd
say it all.
He talked about that Hogg's book. What was it called?
It's like Hogg's.
Right.
The Hogfather.
Yeah, Hogfather.
Yeah.
It's funny because I picked that book up yesterday and looked at it.
Yeah, and that's one that sounded.
It's kind of funny because Death was Santa Claus.
I'll say, one thing with Kennedy was his description of the books that he liked was really good. Like when you listen to him, you're like, hey, that sounds like something I'd want to read. Where I can tell you to read something because it's awesome, but I'm probably not going to do a great job describing it. Maybe with the exception of Wheel of Time.
Well, there's something that I feel about Terry Pratchett that I wasn't going to tell him because
all right.
But when I read
Kennedy, don't listen.
Nah, when I read Good Omens, it was too satirical.
Right. Yeah, he's very satirical.
It really felt like he wrote most of the book and not Neil Gaiman, which is.
Well, I think he did.
I'm a big Neil Gaiman
guy,
who I'm pretty sure is just a major jerk. I may be wrong, but
you've felt that way for a while, right?
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman's kind of he's kind of your Stephen King, like how Stephen King is for me.
What do you mean?
Well, you had to like our page.
No, well, I've read so many of his.
Stephen's got some making up to do.
I've read a couple of his pre-book author notes.
Right.
And they're very kind of self-praising.
Yes.
And so, which I guess whatever.
Sounds like me and Neil would get along.
You're a very self-praising guy.
Oh my gosh.
It's hard.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah. But anyway, I'm not
insulted.
I'm not the biggest fan of that satirical nature of everything has to be wacky because it's wacky. Wacky's one thing, but
too much is too much.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about George Martin. If this will connect.
Okay.
But no, sorry, not George Martin. M. Night Shyamalan.
That is not the same.
Well, M. Night Shyamalan was doing these killer movies, and then they stopped being killer.
Yeah, because he felt like he had to one up himself every time.
That and that he always had to have a twist.
Yeah, always. That's what I mean. The twist had to one up the last twist.
And he couldn't just make a movie. So I feel like with Terry Pratchett, and I haven't really read anything to say this. I just feel this way that now he's expected to write one certain way,
right?
Even if he doesn't really feel like it. I don't know. Like, it's one thing making a book funny, but maybe it's just me and I just don't understand it yet. But
maybe you need to read more of it.
I think so, but maybe Good Omens isn't a good starter book. But I just really...
Well, you've got what's the name of the one? Color Magic?
I Color Magic.
Color Magic.
But I don't know. It just feels like wacky to be wacky. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I got you.
I'm not the biggest fan of satire satire or parody as a art form.
I'm not a huge fan of it either. Now, I like a little bit of humor. To me, in a fantasy book, goes a long way. You know what I mean?
A little bit.
You can throw in a little bit of humor, and that's funny if you're doing it throughout the entire book or series. I don't like that.
Yeah. What's your favorite bit of comedy in the fantasies?
Oh, I don't know. Do you have one?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
Mine is when in Wheel of Time with Rand and Perrin. Every time they're talking to a girl, they say that they wish they were the other one.
Oh yeah, that's probably mine too. Because I've mentioned that to you before. They always do it, and Matt does it at some point too.
Well,
because they always think Matt knows what he's talking about, and he's just like them.
Matt's having a tough one right now.
Yeah, Matt's got it rough.
What's happening to him right now is he's just dying. Like I think they're trying to separate him from the dagger.
Oh yeah, he's possessed by the dagger.
So, I may be wrong, but I've seen some cover art of him, and he has that weird stick dagger weapon. That's how they got around it.
Yeah.
Is that they made that his weapon or something? So he's not actually touching.
Guess you'll find out.
I think that it's on a stick or whatever. So he's not actually. Pole or whatever, but so he's not actually touching the dagger.
He's just got like a limb from a tree with a dagger tied to it.
I'm pretty sure it's duct tape. But yeah, that's kind of my theory on it, is that he has that weapon, so he's not touching the dagger, but it's still close to him.
Yeah, well, you got to keep reading to find out. Such a good series.
The only I really like the 5-page chapters. Because they don't take, usually they're like 10 to 15 pages.
It makes it easy to read when you only have a few minutes.
Well, yeah, but they're usually like 10 to 15 pages, but some of them are like 5 pages.
Right.
And those keep me like, I really want to keep reading.
Yeah, keep going.
But 10 pages.
Yeah, well, when you finish a short chapter, you think, I can do one more chapter, and then it's a long one.
Yeah, and I don't know, I want to take a day before school starts and just read.
Yeah.
But we have my life's pretty booked up.
Yeah.
for
podcast taking off.
Yeah, the podcast taking off.
Taking off. All right, we better wrap this up.
Yeah, because I guess we got a bulk record today. So
that's right. We're doing multiple episodes today. To Opinionated.
Calm down.
Sorry.
Anyway, if you like this, which I'm sure you didn't, because my dad likes to address the camera too much, check out patreon.com/MeisterCon. And
I'm hungry.
I'm getting hungry, but I have D&D tonight. So
I hold this mic down to my stomach, but scare people off. Yeah, it's making some noises.
Here, you want to do it?
Yeah. All right, so episode 31 in the books.
Actually, it wasn't done yet.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead, Brad.
If you just want to, I don't know, find anything that's us, go to just Google MeisterCon. We're the only one. It'll send you to whatever we do, and
unique name.
Any of them are good. And if you want to watch the video of this, if you're on the audio version, which you should be, go to MeisterCon Pod on
MeisterCon Pod.
That makes my dad happier than me. I'm more of a podcasting guy. What can I say?
We're gonna get him though.
You're not going to get me.
We're gonna get you.
Thank you for listening, everybody. I'll see you. Well, I guess Wednesday, because we're posting an interview on Wednesday.
Well, yeah, but not this week. We're not posting one this week on Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah.
See you next Wednesday.
So we'll have.
We'll see.
This one we'll post. This one, episode 31, we'll post Saturday.
You gotta think for a second. So we're gonna post it on Saturday. So I'm right, because they'll see us next Wednesday.
Oh yeah, they'll be next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Technology.
It's too confusing.
Wait, so where can they catch us next time, Brett?
On the same Brett time, same Brett channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a good place to start.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Ugh.